Hey, sup family, it's your boy Wahala, or some might know me as Jace. Just gonna go into a video done by the Saints of the Most High. So the subject is the Polynesian people, Israelites or Moabites? Which confuses me, right? Because I think this guy's in connection with GMS. And GMS teaches that Moabites and Ammonites are Japan and China. And to my understanding, GMS teaches that Polynesians are from the descendants of Japheth. So why does this guy have the word Moabites there? Because Moabites has no relation to Japhites. Moabites are actually Shemitic descendants of Lot, right? But let's hear him out, eh? So I'm just going to press play.
Right? And, this is part of the curses. He said we're going to be scattered into all nations. All right? Let's go get that. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord, Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So that's part of the curses, man, that we're going to be scattered into all nations. So yes, some Polynesians, right, are going to be Israelites. All right, it's the spirit that dictates these things. Matter of fact, let's go get it. Elder Manata Zakbar from South Carolina, we was watching a live before camp, and he had a guy come up, man, and if you was carnal, right, you would perceive this as a so-called white person, right? But, once you bring out those hard scriptures, and they don't buck up, the Spirit bears witness, right? So this is Romans chapter 8 and verse 16. The Spirit itself bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. You see that?
Okay, I'm just going to stop it there for a moment. So, one thing about GMS is they do acknowledge that there are Israelites scattered to the four corners, including the South Pacific. Me personally, I don't disagree with them, because I do know that Polynesia, for example, poly means many, so it's many, and Amnesia means island. This is a Spanish word, Polynesians, which is many islands. If people did basic research, this is how I counter GMS quoting that Pacific Islanders from the descendants of Japheth, because that's totally incorrect as well. But there is truth to that, don't get me wrong. When you read the scriptures in regards to Japheth, right, it said that Japheth would be enlarged and also dwelling in the tents of Shem. So in regards to the tents of Shem, we know that Shem isn't just Israelites, right? Israelites come out of Shem, Shemitic, right? So wherever Shem is dwelling in the four corners of earth, you'll find Japheth dwelling in their tents. Okay? So with the South Pacific, I don't disagree that Japheth is within the South Pacific as well, but not owning the South Pacific. Japheth's been scattered to the four corners as well. But what I'm trying to state is, if you do basic history on the South Pacific migration, you'll find out that there's not just Japheth within the South Pacific, but you have other nations as well, such as Esau. Because Esau's been there for a while, starting from the Dutch, then you had the Spanish, then you had the Germans, right? Then you had other countries like New Zealand, Australia, then you had America, right? You've had Edomites within these lands dwelling there as well. But there's a history that these camps from One West are missing, and that's the history of Rapa Nui. So if anyone did basic research on the territory, what they call Argentina and Chile. Once upon a time, those land masses were just one, and it was ruled under what we call the Mapuche nation. But around 1500s, there was a battle occurring, and it was a battle between the Spanish and those who we call the Mapuche nation. So when the Spanish were fighting, they had legions with the Mexicans, who people call Isaaca, right? And they fought against a Mapuche nation, who these camps called the tribe of Naphtali. Most of the area that's called Argentina was actually conquered by the Spanish, right? And a lot of those that were dwelling in the landmass of Argentina fled into what we call Chile. So you had Chile, you had Peru. They were all governed by the Mapuche nation. But what people fail to understand is when the battle was occurring, a lot of people fled what we call South America into the South Pacific through Hawaii to Rapa Nui, which is called Easter Island, according to Westerners, right, and then into the South Pacific. I'm not saying all South Pacifics are descendants of the Mapuches or the tribe of Naphtali, but what I'm saying is a big remnant, right, did migrate to the South Pacific, including Hawaii in the north. And when you do that basic research, you'll find out that there's a reason why we had the word Lima, the reason why we have kumara, which is sweet potatoes. It's to do with migration patterns of what we call the South Pacific Islanders. So my point is just to show you that Naphtali is in the South Pacific as well, not just the South Pacific, but also including South America, which I believe that scripture in Deuteronomy 33 verse 23, actually breaks it down perfectly. That when these camps say that South and the West, and they try to indicate that Argentina and Chile is South, they're correct in a point, but once again I want to indicate that landmass before the Spanish names came, which is Chile and Argentina, right? It was just one whole landmass. There was no Argentina and Chile. It was ruled by the Mapuche nation. I made a video just to give you a comparison between Polynesians and the Mapuche nation, showing you the artifacts, the features. It's all the same. And then I've shown you documentaries where they showed Polynesian skulls found within isolated locations in South America. Right, and then I showed you a documentary on for Ferrador that he was one of the scholars that wanted to prove that native Indians, right, fled South America through Peru to the Polynesian nations. And when Ferrador and his crew reached a point of the Polynesian islands, there was a group of Polynesians that came out and said, the vessel that they use, right, is a vessel of their ancestors. And these are vessels that were spotted or written about by Spanish navigators when they reached South America. These Spanish navigators drew down and also wrote the vessels that were in South America, which was the same vessels that Polynesians used, right, to navigate through sea, which they call sea hopping. But yeah, so this brother isn't totally incorrect. I do believe that there is a remnant of Naphtali within the South Pacific. Once again, I'm not saying all Polynesians are from the tribe of Naphtali. As I said, Polynesia, just like America, where the natives live, is a conquered land. This is how I know that we fit the curses, because it does state that a nation that you know, we don't know. A tongue that we don't understand will arrive, like the flying eagle, right? So when you look at the Polynesian, let's use Samoa for example, because that's where my ancestors originated from, as per what I know, right? All you have to do is just look at Samoa, and this is a proof that we are in captivity. Well, Samoa is conquered, right, by the Germans, New Zealand, Australia. Then you had the Spanish way before them, through the whaling system. This is where we get the terminology Western Samoa and American Samoa. So those two words there show you that Samoa is no longer controlled by its own people. It's now controlled by a people that was a tongue that we just didn't understand, according to Deuteronomy 28, right? Part of the curses. And it's proof that because the Northern Kingdom went into idol worshipping of stones and wood, right? You can find that throughout North America with our totem poles, right through to the South Pacific with the same totem poles, right? Through stones or wood. It's all there, man. And all I'm saying is to these cats at GMS is Naphtali is in the South Pacific, and we know that you acknowledge us that we're there, but don't jump to conclusions once you hear the word Samoa, Tonga, and then automatically judge them according to the names. Judge them according to the spirit, alright? If you judge them according to the spirit, you see there is no difference between your spirit and our spirit, especially the ones that have awoken. So, in regards to this brother, the Saints of the Most High, I don't disagree with him totally. I do acknowledge that Japheth, Esau, Elam are still within the South Pacific till this day, right? But all I say is just acknowledge that there are brothers in the South Pacific, there are descendants of Naphtali, and I believe that I am one of them through faith. Right, and I have done a trace of my ancestry that does lead back to the South Pacific, and also a migration from what they call South America. See, this is all based on the spirit, right? All you have to do, brothers, is there are some camps up there that state that all Israelite tribes need to be in America, right, or part of America, which I don't disagree. But what you fail to understand is this, the spirit part, right, that I found out just by doing basic Google search. If you do basic research on Polynesian migration from South America to Rapa Nui, which is Easter Island, Easter Island itself is actually a part of Chile. Right, when you look at the capital of Easter Island is Chile. So that's proof right there. But the second proof is for Hawaii. See, people once again fail to understand that Hawaii is the 50th state in that USA flag. Right, which means there are Polynesians who are the tribe of Naphtali that are connected to America. So all tribes are in America. Right, so that's my proof there. All you have to do is basic Google search, what is the capital of Easter Island, and it will show you that Easter Island is a territory of Chile. I don't know how spiritual I can get, or how much proof that I need to prove. It's all there, man. But once again, through the power of the Most High, I'd just like to thank you for this time for hearing me out. But once again, hopefully, with the awakening of Judah or the Southern Kingdom, the Northern Kingdom will start to arise again. So I don't disagree with these camps in regards to Japheth being in the South Pacific. But once again, you have to open your mind that Shem is not just Israelites. Shem is scattered to the four corners of the earth, and wherever you go, Japheth will be dwelling in there too. And according to Japheth's breakdown, Japheth is a merchant people, right? They bought horns of ivory, they bought calamus, chimera, and they had their own markets, right? And they had a big army, right? That description doesn't match majority of the South Pacific, but once again, you're going to have to do your own research, because if you know Dedan, right, who sold horns of ivory, is a Hermetic person, right? Because Dedan is a Hermetic, or a descendant of Ham. He was the one that was selling horns of ivory to the descendants of Japheth. All you have to do is basic research on who bought horns of ivory from Africans. And there's only roughly two specific races on this earth that bought horns of ivory from Africans, and that was the Europeans themselves, right? And then the second was Asians. Asians were the ones that bought horns of ivory from Africans. Indians did not buy horns of ivory from Africans. Indians actually had horns of ivory within their own land. Okay, and then you had other things like calamus, right? I think it's like a plant or something, or for herbal. We all know who the top of medical research is, or where these plants are being used, right? It's mostly in Asia. But yeah, so once again, all I'm saying is you have to understand the migration of Polynesia. Not everybody is the same within Polynesia. You have Asians there, you have Polynesians, you have what we call half-caste or Apakasis, Europeans, that are dwelling in these lands. But then, as I said, there's a migration from South America to Polynesia during the period of the wars that was happening with the Spanish invasions. I think you can find a book. It's the Aracanas Wars, and it talks about the Manchu nation fighting, and then the Spanish gaining access on the territory, what they called Argentina today. And the last standing point was Chile. They couldn't break that defense, but a lot of Manchu sent their, mostly the kids, the women, the elderly men, across the borders to Hawaii, to Tahiti, and to Rapa Nui, and different parts of the South Pacific. But yeah, if you guys want a dialogue, I'm always available. If you have any questions or any starts on that. But all I'm saying is that there's a big movement, awakening within the South Pacific, and hopefully we can get together and start this work. It's all about fearing the Most High and keeping His commandments is the main duty. All right, and awakening the lost sheep of the house of Israel is our main job to do. But once again, all praise to a higher power through His Son, and may we walk, in the light, and give our goodly works, and also our goodly words to those that need it to be inspired. But we're here for you, the Southern Kingdom, and the Northern Kingdom. We need to rebuild and get ourselves together so that the two sticks will be rebind when our Messiah returns and takes us out of this captivity that we're living in. So peace and shalom, and all praises. Kwam Yasharallah.